Welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, my name is Bailey Carter. I film lifestyle, motherhood, and womanhood videos every Monday and Friday. So before you do anything, make sure you stop, like this video, and of course subscribe so you never miss another video. Today's video is one that I'm super excited about. It's one that I have been thinking about filming for a very long time, and that is going to be items that you do not need on your baby registry. So the baby motherhood gear items industry is super predatory. They know that women, mothers, will spend whatever on their babies, especially new mothers, because you don't know exactly what you need. It's such a big life-changing event. And so you will spend whatever and do whatever to make sure that it goes as easily and as best as possible. They totally know that. They know that you are so vulnerable during this time. And so there's so much stuff on the market. I remember when I was pregnant with my son, Owen, I would watch these videos all the time. Only I would do a lot of what you need type videos. I would watch, different items that you should be putting on your baby registry. And it can be very overwhelming because people are recommending so many things to you. There's so much stuff. So I'm going to break down some things today that I don't think that you need. I think that they're a waste of money. Save your money. Having a baby is super expensive. All of the items you have to buy, and it doesn't really stop. It just keeps going. So I want to make sure that if you are in a situation where maybe you don't have a huge budget to spend on baby items, you can really get more bang for your buck and not get these items that I think are a total waste of money. So we are going to jump right into item number one, and this one will probably shock some people. That is a changing table and changing pad. You guys, you do not need to go and buy a changing table and a changing pad. First of all, they are so expensive. And the ones especially that are just like a straight up and down and they have empty spaces and then a space on top for a changing table, you're not going to use it. Or if you do use it, you're only using it for such a short amount of time. If you absolutely feel like you have to have a changing pad, if you feel like, your nursery is not complete without one, do what I did. I got a dresser, a long, low dresser, and I put a changing pad on top. That is at least a little bit more efficient because you do have a dresser attached to it. And so it's not a total waste of money, but honestly, I wouldn't even get that. This time around, we're not even going to get a changing pad because your bed, your couch, the floor, I probably use the changing pad 5 times. Maybe he is still wearing diapers. He just turned 2, and he's still wearing diapers, and he has maybe used the changing pad 5 times in his life. We don't even have it anymore. But as an infant, you guys, you do not want to pick up your infant, carry them all the way into their bedroom, lay them on a changing pad, change them, bring them all the way back in. It's just not practical, especially for late night feedings. You're so tired. The last thing you want to do is get up and go to another room in the house. So what I suggest doing is getting either, like I said, a changing pad and sticking it on a dresser. But even beyond that, I would just get one. You can get them at Target. You can get them at Walmart. They're just little changing pad cases. You get them, they fold up like this. They're just liners. So stick a liner on your bed, change the baby, fold the liner back up, put it on your nightstand, easy peasy. So kind of going along with the changing realm, a wipe warmer, biggest waste of money ever, okay? So unpractical. First of all, you have to have it plugged in. So wherever your changing station is, has to be near a plug-in because you have to have your wipe warmer plugged in. Number 2, your wipes dry out so quickly. By the time that you use all the wipes that are in the warmer, the ones at the bottom are super dry. They aren't as wet as they should be. So you're like just wiping a dry wipe across your baby's bottom. I think that they completely are a waste of money. And yes, it might be nice for your baby to have a warm wipe, but I promise you they're not going to be traumatized if their wipes aren't warm. It's not like a package of wipes that's just sitting on your counter is being stuck in a refrigerator. They're not that cold. Your baby will be totally fine without warm wipes. Number 3, again, sticking with the whole changing diaper situation. And I just don't think that it's necessary to get a diaper pail. This is something that some people may totally disagree with me on. This kind of comes down to personal preference, but I do not think that you need a diaper pail. They can be very expensive. And to me, they still stink just as much as a trash can would. I think it's just as easy to take the diaper and throw it in the trash can, or have an outside trash bin where you're taking it immediately and throwing them away, especially as a newborn. Newborns don't stink that much. Again, to me, it just seems like a total waste of money. If you are somebody who is super sensitive to smell, what I would recommend doing is having, by your diaper changing station, whatever that looks like for you, having, your trash can sitting there, and then just getting like doggy bags. You can get those, only they're called diaper bags. They're made for humans. And as soon as you're done with the diaper, you just drop it in the bag, tie it off, and toss it in the trash. So then there is at least a barrier between the diaper and it's not just sitting in the trash can. And I mean, honestly, in the beginning, between your disposable nursing pads, the wipes, all of the things, you really are going to be taking the trash out a lot. So I really wouldn't worry about getting a diaper pail. I would just stick with a trash can. And if you are sensitive to smells, getting some of those disposable diaper bags, easy enough. So number 4 is probably the hardest on the list, because the best part about having a baby, one of the most exciting things, is buying clothes for them. That's like the best part. But you guys, newborns don't wear that many clothes. And not only that, but every baby is so different. I have friends who have had kids that have stayed in 0 to 3 month sizes for 3 months, 0 to 3. They stayed in that size until they were 3 months. Their babies followed the clothing size recommendations along with their age. I've had friends who have had kids that have stayed in 0 to 3 forever. Like they were in 0 to 3 sizes until they were 6 months old. My son was in 0 to 3 months the first month of his life. And by month 3, he was in size 6 to 9 months. He was huge. So all of the clothes that I had bought for him that were size 6 to 9 months, he was born in January. So a lot of his 9-month clothes were not winter clothes. They were summer clothes. I was assuming that he would be wearing them during the summer, but it was still only March here in Illinois. So all of the clothes that I had bought for him, thinking that the size would be right, the weather was not right. So my recommendation for you, if you are a new mother, if you are somebody who is filling out your baby registry, is number 1, don't even put clothes on your registry. It doesn't matter what you put on there. People are going to buy you clothes no matter what. So instead of wasting your time going through Target, going through Amazon and adding different items to your registry for clothing, I wouldn't, because people are going to buy you what they want to buy you no matter what. Number 2, get a couple sizes of each. So for me personally, I knew I was going to have big babies. I could feel that he was big. The doctors were telling me that he was big. My mom had 9, 10, and 11 pound babies. So I was pretty confident that I wasn't going to have a teeny tiny newborn. So I didn't get any newborn clothing with Owen, and I don't plan on doing that with baby girl either. I might purchase one newborn onesie for her to come home from the hospital in, because it will fit cute. It'll just look good for pictures. But other than that, I'm only going to get size 0 to 3, and still I'm not going to overload myself on 0 to 3 items. So if you're a first time mom, if you don't know what to do, I would get 1 or 2 newborn outfits, sleepers. I would get newborn sleepers, a couple 0 to 3 sleepers, and start with that. You can always run to Target and pick up some extra sleepers. You can always order them online and have them primed to your house. So save your money, just get a couple items of each size and wait and see. So again, with clothes, baby mittens. You guys, baby mittens, biggest waste of money, biggest waste of fabric. It makes sense when newborns come out of the womb, they have super sharp nails, they scratch their face. I understand why they exist, but they just don't make any sense. The elastic isn't tight enough around their arms, so the mittens fall off. By week number 1, I had already had a ton of newborn mittens that only had one, because Owen had pulled them off. They had fallen out in the car. They don't work that well. They're not very effective because they do fall off. If the baby puts their hand in their mouth, they can pull the mitten off. If, they're moving it, they're just not effective. They don't wash very well. I think that, when you wash them, they get super thin. The elastic stretches. My advice to you is to get either sleepers that have they make so many sleepers now that have fabric that wrap over their little hands. So I would get those. Those are amazing. And also, you guys, just put a sock on their hand. It looks a little bit sketchy. People might make fun of you, but you guys, seriously, stick a sock on their hand. They'll be good to go. Socks are a lot tighter than the mittens are. And also socks, you are already going to have them. Those are something that you do need. You do need baby socks. So just stick those on their hands, and they don't scratch their face for that long. They only really need something covering their hands for at most 1 month of their life. So the next item on your registry that you should absolutely skip, do not waste your money with this item, is a bumbo seat. When Owen was able to finally start sitting up on his own, that was something that I thought that we just had to have. We had to have a bumbo seat, and they suck. Just plain and simple, they are not a good product. Your baby has to have complete head control. They have to be able to hold their head up on their own in order to sit in these seats. So at most 3 months, I would say most babies start using them around 4 or 5 months is whenever they're able to sit in these seats. And if your kids are anything like my baby, Owen was huge, you guys. His thighs were this big around. I couldn't stuff his thighs into this bumbo seat. So you have to wait for them to be a certain, a certain age, because they have to be able to hold up their head. But if you have a baby, and not even a chunky baby, I've had friends who have had just average size babies that can only use this bumbo seat for a very short window of time because they just can't fit. The way the plastic is formed, it's really hard to get your baby's thighs in there, especially if you do have a chunky baby like me. So the next one is something that I wish somebody would have told me, and that is to skip on a cloth covered high chair. Babies are not very good with their hands. When they start feeding themselves, food gets everywhere. It gets mashed down into the corners of that high chair. If you give them applesauce or ice cream or pudding or whatever, spaghetti, think about how disgusting that is, and it's getting like mashed into the fabric in your high chair. So definitely skip that. Get a nice plastic high chair that you can spray down, you can, bleach it, you can wipe it down. So much easier to use. You won't regret it. My high chair got so gross, the covering on it, I just took the covering off. For the last, he doesn't sit in a high chair anymore. But for the last 6 months, 7, 8 months that it was being used without the plastic cover or without the fabric cover over it, because it was so gross, you guys. I'd put it through the washing machine. I had done everything I could to try to get it clean, and it was just stained from him, eating applesauce and flinging it over his shoulder, or having pancakes and having syrup get into it. It was just, definitely skip a cloth covered high chair. Get one that is either like a rubberized surface or even just a plain plastic one. They're a lot more inexpensive and they're so much more effective. So the high chair is something that, you won't really use until the baby is 6 months old. That's a little bit further down the line. Something though that you will probably use fairly immediately are bottles. Whether you are a breastfeeding mama or a formula feeding mom, you will definitely want to have some sort of bottle. If you're breastfeeding, you will want it so you can take a break. You can give the baby to your partner and allow them to feed the baby. If you are a working mom and you are pumping, you'll want to have, your baby used to drinking from a bottle for when you go back to work. And then if you're just a formula feeding mom, you will definitely, of course, want to have tons of bottles, because that is how your baby will be receiving their nutrients. So it's so easy for us to get wrapped up in what kind of bottle we want for the baby. But truth be told, you guys, it's really not our decision what bottle we use. It is their decision. I am so lucky, and I will absolutely admit that, because my son would take any type of bottle. He did not care. He transitioned from breast to bottle, from this type of bottle to that type. He didn't care. He just loved to eat. But not every baby is that easy. A lot of babies truly do just have one preference. Sometimes it can take a while to figure out exactly what kind of bottle they want. There are so many different types of bottles on the market. So my advice to you is to just purchase. You can get value packs of, a Dr. Brown's bottle, an Avent bottle, a Komotomo, a Tommy Tippy. You can just get a set that has 4 or 5 different types of bottles in them and start from there. Also, a lot of places that you will do a baby registry at will give you a little welcome bag or a thank you bag. I know that Baby List has a really awesome registry box that sends a couple different samples of bottle types in them. When we registered at Target, they had a little welcome bag that had a couple different bottle samples in them. So make sure you take advantage of getting those gifts because you will have samples of bottles within those, and that's perfect. It's perfect to start that way. If you have a friend that just had a baby, maybe ask her if you can borrow one of her types of bottles that she uses. So that way you can just see what your baby really likes. And then once you find exactly what your baby needs, then you can go and purchase a whole set of those bottles, because I've heard so many mamas who have went out and purchased a certain type of bottle that can be very expensive to get a nice big collection, and then their baby doesn't even want them. And at that point, they've already been washed and sanitized, sterilized, so now they can't be returned. The next up on my list is receiving blankets, and I just want to know why. Why are these things even created? You guys, receiving blankets are such a waste of money. They're such a waste of fabric. They are not very big, so they can't really serve as a blanket for the baby. You can't swaddle the baby in them because they are so small. They're so thin that you can't really use them as burp rags, because if the baby burps or spits up once or twice, it's already soaked through onto your shirt. They do not wash well. So you can wash them once or twice, and then they're thin. They tend to pill a lot, so they just look really gross. Receiving blankets are such a waste of money. Skip those. Instead, invest in a couple really nice swaddle blankets, muslin swaddles. Aiden and I makes really beautiful swaddle blankets. Copper and Pearl makes a really good brand. They serve many more purposes. You can use them as nursing covers, as blankets. You can absolutely wipe spit up with those. I don't know if I would, because they are a little bit pretty, but they wash really well. They're much higher quality, and receiving blankets just take up space in your drawer. So if you are a new mom, skip the receiving blankets, invest in some muslin swaddles or even more high quality swaddle blankets. Again, from Copper Pearl. I know that Spearmint Baby has some really nice swaddle blankets. So go that route and you won't regret it. The last thing on my list is the one that I think is arguably the most controversial and the one that people are going to disagree with me the most on, and also the most expensive, and that is any sort of bed sharing co-sleeping bassinet. So that might be the Halo bassinet, the Arms Reach bassinet, anything like that, I think is such a waste of money. They are so expensive. On a low end, anywhere from $200, $300, $400 are pretty common prices. All the way up, I've seen bassinets that near the $1,000 mark. They can be so pricey, and truly they're not used for a very long time. A lot of mamas these days are choosing to co-sleep with their baby. So their baby is, bed sharing with them. Hopefully they're practicing safe sleeping practices while the baby is in bed with them. Or if they are choosing not to co-sleep, they have the baby in a completely separate space altogether. So my husband and I chose to have our son Owen in our room for the first 6 months, which is what the American Academy of Pediatrics does recommend. And we did do that, but he was always in his own sleeping space. And for us, that was just what we preferred. My husband and I are both very heavy sleepers, so it just felt safer for us to have him in his own sleeping space. But even then, a bassinet really just wasn't what worked the best for us. What I totally recommend doing if you are somebody who plans on keeping the baby sleeping in their own space, but you still want to save money, is get a pack and play combo set. So we purchased a pack and play. It was a Graco pack and play from Target. It came with 4 separate attachments. So you have the pack and play itself, then you have another level that is a little bit risen. So here's the pack and play, and then it has a level that's a riser. So it's a little, it's the same size as the pack and play. It's just higher up. It's more elevated. And then it came with 2 attachments. One was a changing attachment, so you could change the baby in this area. And the other was a bassinet attachment, and it worked perfectly. That playpen has gotten so much use. It is actually at my mom's house right now. That is where he sleeps whenever he goes and stays the night with grandma and grandpa. And it has worked beautifully for that as a toddler. It worked great once he started rolling over and the bassinet size did not work for him. We pulled the attachments off and we laid him in the area that was a little bit elevated. So he still wasn't old enough to stand up or, really get up on all fours, but he just needed more space than the bassinet portion. So we stuck him in the top there. You guys, it's so much better for your pocketbook because again, when you're really looking at what you need for your baby registry and for your baby, I would say always get things that have multiple uses that you can get for multiple stages of life. There's very few items that you need that will only work for certain stages. So think about the longevity of the items that you are getting, things that are going to be able to convert, that can grow with the baby. And so to me, getting a pack and play with a bassinet attachment, perfect. All right, you guys, so that is the end of this video. I don't want it to be too terribly long-winded, but this one did have a lot of information in it. So this will probably be a longer video. If you like it, make sure you give it a thumbs up. Leave a comment down below, items maybe that you think that you did not need from your registry, something that you bought and you never used, or if some of the items that I mentioned you loved, leave it down below. Let me know why you liked them and why they worked for you. Maybe you'll change my mind. I'm gonna go ahead and sign off, you guys. Thank you so much for joining me today. I will see you in my next video. Bye, guys.